Okay, very good. Thank you. Now, one more quick question. The last question would be, you also talked a bit about all the emergency procedures and backup structures you need to have in place, and some of the challenges. For instance, some of the unforeseen things on the logistic sides of all of it. Do you have any reflections on what of these emergency procedures now have to be adjusted? What did we not foresee? Because of course, many companies did have these emergency procedures, but I think many of us also had a learning out of that. It became reality, and certainly Notwendigkeit. It became necessary.
Yeah, well, I think that the situation is that do you invite your fire department to do training on your site?
Yeah, good point.
I think we did that, and therefore we have a few different sites, obviously, as you know, and so it takes about 4 or 5 years until they have made their training in all the sites. But I think that's so to speak a good synergetic way of thinking of it as to how innovative can you be to pre-think some of those things. And I think that's it's a charge of management because in our organizations it is not a decision of one person or a small group. There has to be lots of experts on how to deal with these kinds of emergencies and imagine them, and obviously there's consultants out there that will help you in this thought process if your organization is not big enough to organize that themselves. But I think that anything that happens for the prepared mind is, so to speak, I think that's my credo to go to when I look at the emergency procedures. And when you dynamically you can pre-think that, and I think that some of our trainings as engineers and experts in that area is to think about these dynamic processes that happen. Now, obviously, in order to be able to have 3 filters from 3 different manufacturers on the same product, it takes a tremendous amount of extra knowledge management work in order to be able to have that in the registration. But I can tell you that I believe that in at least 50% of the products that we manufacture, we only have 1 filter from 1 manufacturer registered.
Yeah.
It is not a plaidoyer for the filter manufacturers. I'm just talking about we need to think about preparation in the pharmaceutical production, that we are now highlighted that if that manufacturer cannot supply because he's overseas or whatever, and the supplies are depleted here in Europe, then there are European suppliers we need to have registered. I think that's a very simple example, but it exemplifies what is happening here and where we need to get more prepared in the future. That's, so to speak, my plaidoyer.
Perfect. Thank you very much for that. And I can only allude to it and say that, yeah, maybe it also takes some correction on the regulatory side eventually when we conclude on all this, even though it wouldn't be a new normal. Udo, thank you very much.
I would even go so far as to tell the ISPE that we need a revival of SURPAC.
Yeah, very good. Thank you.
Now, that has just aged me, I'm afraid.
Udo, thank you very much for your presentation. Thanks for sharing it. And thank you also for taking questions and answers. You will be on the panel later today. Thank you very much.
Bye-bye. My pleasure.